Revealing the first writers' formats in Joshua, Part 1. And these were found by me finding an error in Psalm 78. One verse started off or read out of place. And if you look in the description box below, you will see a video link for Psalm 78. And I'll go through and show you how the two verses were reading out of order. Example, Moses had water, or our Creator had water coming out from the rocks in verse, I think, 15 and verse 19, and then Moses struck the rock. So we know that that ended up the beginning of what you'll see in that video is to find this format. And I'm claiming that these are the first writer's formats. These formats are also known by them as a psalm. So the word psalm is now correctly being used. Now, I'm going to use this blue highlighted text to say I'm going to remove this. This is the new 1977 New American Standard Bible text, word for word in order. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this color means I'm going to remove that text. The yellow or the green is what I'm adding. And when you see a slash line here, you'll see that I'm changing that word to this word. And I'm not going to put every one of them that is so different that I'm going to make it a yellow text like you see down here from sons to nation. What you do see is that these yellow highlights, when they're like this standing alone, that means I added that to meet the format. The format you see is one major word and another major word, and the least amount of words I'm using to complete the verse. So you can see again 1, 2, 1, 2, and then those three verses actually make a paragraph. And a lot of times the two of them together will make a larger paragraph, and then the subject will change again. When I'm using words like this, all capital letters, this is for the reader when they're reading. They will know that our Creator is speaking at this time, and His words or His promise or His possession or something He's promised will always be all capital letters and highlighted. Jesus's words will be, the first letter will be capitalized, and then the rest will be red. When an angel is speaking, it will always be in green, all the text in green. And there is no proper English here. Remember, this was written way before English even started. I'm using a capital letter for the good guys or good people, women as well. The thing here is when I'm using like, let's see, Levi's, meaning his descendants, will be a capital L if they're good, and if they, and the priests that became corrupt, they will have a little l, meaning that they're no good anymore. That the text is to teach as well as to be read. And these are all like notes within the text. Also, I'm changing a lot of the words to make sure that a 12-year-old can read the book, read these words. Very important that they understand that they cannot use a secular dictionary for a lot of the words and meanings. Now, when it comes to a word like nation, because the sons of Israel, that's actually the nation, and this is the nation our Creator um, um, created. He created His nation. It was called the nation of Israel. This is the way I'm going to represent that in case the word nation is not in the verse. It'll be all capital letters in bold, and then when they become corrupt, they'll be in small capital letters. So you'll always know that speaking of the whole of Israel, um, because it did become two kingdoms or two nations. And I'm using the word nation to represent um, each tribe um, because it was pieces, like the United States has different states, and then under it, I would call the United States a nation. I know other countries have providences, but they don't rule themselves or write their own rules that I know of. So those would be called kingdoms. And now you know that when you read the word nation, specifically to be used as the nation of Israel, we'll always talk about Israel at this time. Now, um, a lot of times I will be getting rid of words that you think that you know about. For example, when I'm using the word flocks, it means that there's goats and ram herds together, okay? So, and when I say livestock, it would also include both of those animals plus um, their donkeys. So the text will become very vivid the more you read it and understand what I'm doing here. Now these words here, I have to add completely because the text is missing. Our Creator is describing what He wants Joshua to go in and conquer. And we know the truth, and he never conquered all the way up to the Euphrates River. So this text is a blatant lie in the text. So I had to add the word Egypt from the river Egypt. And it's not a great river, but it's the river Egypt. And for that, I can show you this map here and say this is the river Egypt as it's known today, okay? Even today, it is the boundary line for Egypt at that time, and our Creator gave him the promised land, okay? Now, the blue text that you're seeing that I'm removing, I'm not going to go over it, but there are reasons why I got rid of the text. Now, there are many videos that I went over verse by verse to make sure that people understood what I was doing. It just takes too long to do that anymore, so I will be skipping a lot of it unless I have it like a highlighted word or I want to point out something like this that is completely a lie and needs to be corrected. And it was from the Jordan River to the coast, to the Great Sea, to the coastland. So when the tribes lived on the east side of the Jordan, that isn't known as the Promised Land. It becomes part of the nation of Israel, but that's not the Promised Land. Okay. I'm changing the word man to army because it's no man will stand before you, meaning no army will stand before you. It should have been no men will stand before you, but it's the gathering of the men that are going to be battling you is what the text is telling me is why I'm using the word army. Again, here you can see I'm just changing the word has been to was. You will not fail. No, you will not lose a battle. So um, here the word possession, you cannot possess the land. You need or you'll be given the ownership. So the correct word is ownership. And then say like do accordingly, I changed to obey so you can see that this is so similar. Now, I would show you the Bible program that I'm using, but I think my little HDMI hookup that little capture card that goes in line. I got two of them that went out on me. I got to go buy some more, so it might be um, quite a while before I get to show you the Bible program itself and show you how I do this. But what I will do real quick is to show you an example of the text that how I do these. Let me see here. Let me grab the example that I always use for people here and show you the corruption of the text. Okay, did I lose that already? No, here. Now this text here, this is the Bible program. This will be the words, and when I click on it, it highlights the Strong's Concordance. Now this is the NSAB's concordance, which means they had to change a lot of the lettering to make it their own copyright. And then when I click on this, what's unique about this concordance is that they list how many times they use the word which and all these other words. Now, the thing here is when you see the red letters highlighted here, you'll see that these are just questionable, that how can they use those words? And here's another example that if I click on the word so, it would be this word. The Hebrews had the word for so, but they're going to use this word 7 times for the word so. This is the corruption of the text. So don't think every word from the manuscripts is perfect, okay, to the text you're reading now. The text is really corrupt when you see a lot of what I'm doing. And this is Jesus's prophecy. Our Creator made me see him 8 times. So I am correcting the text by the knowledge that our Creator has given me. And a lot of the text, example, you can see the verse that's above. Now, when you read that, the word righteousness means you have to obey our Creator. Everything he's done as best you can, not just pick and choose what you want to do. Example, do not work on a Sunday or on his holy day. It's not Sunday. Sunday is not a holy day. The thing here is I know in the secular world you're involved in it that you can't do everything, but do the best you can at all of them. Then you have a righteousness for obeying him. So it's kind of like the Christians today are so weak in what they believe that it's, to me, it bothers me. But I guess that's why our Creator sent me to, or Jesus sent me to correct his text, or correct the text to teach the true truths of Jesus. And you'll find that listed under the helper. And I have that. I have so many links in a PDF of everything I've done. So I've made it a short cheat sheet for you. And I will soon be updating everything. So probably within a month, then you'll be able to get the latest of everything when you see, well, let me see this PDF and what he did, and then we see the next PDF, and then the next PDF when it's all clean. Because sometimes the text is out of order and needs to be reordered. People to tribes, command their people, which would be tribe this time. They aren't officers, they're captains. They might be commanders. Okay, so this word here might be commanders later. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'll be editing it later because they had to assign I know this is going to have to be commanders, okay, because because they're leading, say, um, 800 to 1,000 men. They all can't. Just one guy can't do that. He needs. You're fighting on other edges, so you put them in groups, and then those will have captains. So this here, but maybe he brought everybody together and he's calling them the captains to make sure everybody has explained what's going on. And it wasn't really provisions, it was food. And then they were going to cross the Jordan. Now, here is what I've done in all the books that you see that I've done. They use the title God, and the actual Hebrew word is Elohim, and I've changed it to our Creator. The correct title is Creator, and you'll see that in Genesis, how you take all those verses, and the text will pretty much tell you that our Creator created, not God created, but our Creator created this, then He created this, then He created this. So the thing here is there is no such thing as nature. Our Creator created everything. If you're a Christian and you're using the word nature, you're using a secular word and disrespecting our Creator. Every word that you speak becomes your righteousness um, for our Creator. You're obeying Him. You're using His words. For example, our Creator made man, male and female. So if you're using the word man to mean a male, you're just speaking the secular world, or what I call the pagan world. You will not possess it, you will own it. Let's see here. Little ones to children, cattle to flock. Here's what I was trying to explain, that when you read the word flocks, it'll mean more than, it'll be meaning goats and rams. And I don't use the word sheep because a male seed is visible, and that's why when you're reading the text, the daughter will be from a certain male, okay? A descendant from a certain male. So the animals would have to be represented as well. So that's why I call them rams. You can see I've added the word men and the word after. Because he's talking about that after, he's talking to the two tribes that are three tribes that are wanted to stay on the east side of the Jordan. See here, I had to add the word east because the word was beyond, but it's actually east of the Jordan. What does the hell the word beyond means? Well, the people that are editing the Bibles are don't believe we have a creator of everything. They are meditating to have a sex with a so-called female goddess. Now, at this time in history, I did get a hold of them, told them their practice is wrong, and when the video below that talks about the afterlife, in that video I explain how a male, a good male, a very good male, can fight the demons in the abyss, and when they try to kill him or kill them, our Creator will choose whether He wants to redeem them, and when He does, they will be able to say, like I say, our Creator made me see Him, and then, and I know that that's going around the world because there's just too much encryption going on right now for them to stop their practice and understand that we do have a Creator. Notice here I'm using this, sometimes I'm using the word then as a third word, and then sometimes I'm using it as one of the two major words. But you can see do and go are needed. Then is to connect them together. This text here, when it's like this, that means that it makes a format. It looks good, but when it reads out of place, so I'm not going to use it. And that'll happen because when they corrupted the text, they knew that these psalms existed. And what they did was shuffle them around, and they used them, and then they added them to deceive the people at that time. They went into Jericho. What's going on here? How come that's... See, that shouldn't have been like that. Okay. And it's not a house, it's going to be an inn, because her inn is on the wall of the fortress around the fortress wall around Jericho. So it was a place that she had along the wall. Okay, just to let you know that it can't be a house, that's an individual. In fact, I use the word house to mean that it's larger than a home, because it would have servants or many people living in the home together. Pretty much that the house would be having servants. But this has to be the word harlot. Now, it can't be the king of Jericho. The king, that means the king would be over just the city. And that's wrong. He's a leader over Jericho. Later in the text, you'll know that this is the land of Canaan. So let me get that to show you where we're at right now, or you got to understand the history of what's going on here. So let's see, where's Noah? Okay, the descendants of Noah. Actually, Noah landed somewhere in here, my best guess. And then his first son got the property that they lived on, and then Canaan's is here, and then Japheth's is here. So all the people living here, even the Philistines at the time, were descendants of Noah. And pretty much this is Jericho's down here. You can see that. But the problem here is at this time it was overtaken by Canaan, so it changed later. But the object is just to understand the land. This all became Canaan's, and these guys got pushed down a little bit farther. Okay, the Amorites, you might understand that. You studied the text. That's where they... Boy, there's a lot of strange things happening on this computer today. Maybe it's too early. But anyways, they're not a king. It was a leader at the time. And I do try to keep these videos to 40 minutes. So, and so I'll panic when it gets close to 40, try to clean it up and end it. The word woman to Rahab. Um, the thing here is when I can correct the text to make sure the reader understands who we're talking about, I'm doing that. I'm also, the text will say we or our a lot, making it first person, like a first person wrote the text. So when you read the text, it will become very uh, meaningful as you read it, as it would have been by the first person writer. A lot of times Jesus speaks in the third person, um, but it, that's all been corrected. Okay, here is a 4 verse now. The text actually, a lot of times the text will um, just start stepping out that I can't group them because you get so used to 3 verse, and all of a sudden you'll find that it isn't a small paragraph. You've got one linking with the other one a lot. And so all of a sudden when you put them into a 4 verse or a 2 verse, because there is a 2 verse as well, that it will all of a sudden then become a psalm, but it'll be a 4 verse and then another 4 verse. So I don't think any of these words are too difficult. And then they were, and when Moses took over the mounts in Jordan, today is known as Jordan, um, those were, they could have been called kings, but when you realize that you're not even talking, um, well, I think it's like 10 square miles. It's kind of like, how do you have leaders, you don't really have kings. Um, that's just distorting the word king. And it has to be east of the Jordan. And you utterly, not destroy, utterly destroy. You will kill their people. Yeah, they killed their people. This is Rahab speaking to the spies. Um, Here, the title God is being used, and I've gone over why this is how a non-believer and a believer that has concept of other gods is comparing, is our creator. See, it's her understanding at this time that, and that's what's so unique about in the text when you read it this way. You get the understanding how they thought, and when they wrote it into the text, they wrote it that way because they don't never call our creator a God. There's always this comparing our creator, and they knew his name, and then they would say, when you're speaking to a foreigner, okay, now this is what I use for our creator's name, and I've went over that for many a time. So watch the first video, Genesis. I think I do that in the first video. I get really detail about that and show you the why I've changed it to YV, or you can use the Hebrew pronunciation of those 2 letters and be correct as well. Household, a family. This is just ridiculous seeing the word household when it does mean family. Had to use the word in on a city wall. This is the description of her place, pretty much. And it did have a roof on the end, so the walls were built up that had rooms along the wall. I don't know what what it shows today, but in the text at this time, this is what they were doing or had. And then you're going to see large groups of text that just aren't needed. And this is all the stuff that she's talking about. other than that. But the the text that I've got when I have it here, um, this is the main wording to flow with the text. And if you notice, I'm not trying to organize whether this is a 4-verse or a 3-verse, okay? But the object is when you start seeing these two go together, these two psalms going, or small paragraphs becoming a larger paragraph when you grab two of them together. I'm not looking for that when I'm doing this. So when you see it in the end and you see it like that, that just happens, okay? So I'm not really specifically trying to force another group out of this to do that. When I see something that's just not needed, or just extra double talk or double speak of something that's going to happen, because now the story's going to come here and it was like here and then now it's down here and back and forth. Well, that's all gone and it will be completed. I've done this for years, so it's pretty easy for me to do. But and sometimes I change a word like this right here where I'm changing one letter, so I don't want to. There's so many times I've been doing this that it's just a shortcut now. And see, before they cross the river, well, make it first person, we cross the river. Okay. So, and then I'm using these because I only have 2 verses to connect with down here, and it's surprisingly how often I can find a verse here. There's a lot of times that I can take out a whole chapter and then it kind of reads right together like all that wasn't needed anyway. It's just unique when you start seeing the text being pulled out this way. The ark is no longer an ark, it is a chest. That's what it is about. It's not the edge of the river, but it is the bank. I guess this is the first time that this word's come up, so it should be yellow. And then I won't do it on the next one. And I had to add the word stopped, and then said to the leaders of Israel, and this could be elders later. But the object is that type of editing only gets done when I start really combining all the books together and then try to make sure all the words are being used the same that way. So we don't have leaders and leaders meaning two different things. There's enough words that I can't change to mean two, but if I can separate them and use them correctly as one time going all the way through, I do that on purpose so we don't have a double meaning for words. Take is to pick, so that should have been yellow. Cut off, stop, I'm not going to change that. Now it's getting close. It's 33 minutes, so it's getting close. I'm going to have to find a place to stop here as I go. So you're going to see me looking over at my timer here. Not the opposite, but the other side. And sometimes I use it as that way, or I'll do it this way. But just to let you know, not the middle, but it's the land. The word land means the surface. The word ground is underneath the surface. You can see the land in the river when it's shallow towards the edges. So that's the land. So when the Jordan stopped, it was the land. So it has to be the land of the Jordan. The river has a land and then there's ground underneath it. Just to understand how the Hebrews were thinking, then you know that the way the text I have it written is that way they were thinking at that time. Later is future, so A memorial is a testimony, because the word testimony is used later as a testimony, not a memorial. It's a testimony. These stones are actually going to be put inside his, or were at that time put inside the tent when they put it together in his room for meeting with him. So it's called a tent for meeting with him and a house for meeting with him. There's no such thing as a tabernacle or sanctuary. The Creator does not need a sanctuary. But they are deceiving you. Leaders of Israel, like I said, could be elders. See, this is they are there to this day, but that isn't truth. The truth is, I just said where they're going to put these stones, but that comes from what the heck is going on? That is just weird. I don't know if something's going on with my computer or what. Okay, I was making a bunch of PDFs, and I haven't restarted the computer. And I know when I make only so many, I have the program, but I can only do so many, and then it defaults and says I can't do anymore. And I get a warning. And what I did was I just continued working on the computer and didn't restart it. So that might be the problem. I had to add the word covered, water covered. The dry land was covered with water. And this extra circumcision never took place. Well, it might have taken place, but not at that time. We don't have the truth of that, so it's just not going to be stuck in there to be stuck in at this time. This is not the correct. That's usually a city, but it has to be a valley. The Jordan is down 1,600 feet below sea level. So it's desert along the side. Jericho is down here. There's green around the river, but there's this valley. I believe they crossed right through here, and it's this valley here that I have them staying at. And then Jericho is down here. They spied out. They came down this ravine on this side, and then this is the area that they stayed. So just to let you know what's going on here in the text when I'm saying the word valley. And they celebrated the Passover there. Yeah, I'm going to start right here at 6 in the next video. It's close enough to where this is starting to now be a different story, so I'll go from here then. And I'll see you on the next video.